Factoring trinomials when a equals 1. Factoring trinomials when a equals 1 works the same as before, where we can split that middle term after we find two numbers that add to give us b and multiply to give us ac, and then we can factor by grouping. So for this first example, x squared plus 4x plus 3, we have a equal to 1, b equal to 4, and c equal to 3. So our two numbers that multiply to give us 3 and add to give us 4 are just 3 and 1. So we split 4x to be 3x plus x. And then we can factor by grouping. And then factor out that GCF. And we're left with our answer, the product of our factors x plus 3 and x plus 1. However, a equals 1 is a special case. The reason why is instead of splitting the middle and factoring by grouping, when a equals 1, all we're doing is finding two numbers that add to give us b, just like before, but this time it's just multiplies to give us c. The reason why is if a is 1, a times c is just 1 times c, and that's why we can create this little x puzzle. And when we solve our x puzzle, it will give us our factors. So we already know the two numbers here are 1 and 3. Right? 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And so when we complete that x puzzle when a equals 1, those give us the factors x plus 1 times x plus 3. So looking at x squared plus 2x minus 8, because a equals 1, we can go straight to our x puzzle. Find two numbers that add to give us 2 and multiply to give us negative 8. So we can go through those factor pairs of negative 8. So we know all of the factor pairs would be negative 1 times 8, 1 times negative 8, negative 2 times 4, 2 times negative 4. However, instead of going through all the factor pairs of a negative product, you can just focus on the ones where the larger number of the factor pair has the same sign as your sum. So since our sum is a positive 2, we'll only look at these two factor pairs. And we find that negative 2 plus 4 equals a positive 2, and negative 2 times 4 equals a negative 8. So completing our x puzzle, we get the factors x minus 2 times x plus 4. Looking at our next example, x squared minus 4x minus 96. So since a equals 1, we're trying to find two numbers that add to give us negative 4 and multiply to give us negative 96. So we can go through those factor pairs, making sure the larger number of our factor pair takes the negative sign. So going through all of those factor pairs of 96, we finally get to negative 12 and positive 8. Negative 12 times 8 is negative 96. Negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4. So then our factors are x minus 12 and x plus 8. Looking at our last example before you try some. X squared minus 11x plus 30. So since a equals 1, we're trying to find two numbers that add to give us negative 11, multiply to give us 30. And we can go through our factor pairs. And since we have a positive product and a negative sum, we know our factor pairs will both be negative numbers. And we find negative 5 and negative 6 to work. So then we get our answer straight from that completed x puzzle. X minus 5 times x minus 6. Okay, pause the video and take time to factor this trinomial. X squared minus 11x plus 10. So since a equals 1, we're trying to find two numbers that add to give us negative 11, multiply to give us 10. So since we have a positive product and a negative sum, we know both of our numbers need to be negative, and we find negative 10 and negative 1 will do the trick. So get our factors x minus 10 times x minus 1. Of course, we know the order multiplication does not matter. The order of your factors also does not matter. All right, try this next one. Take time to pause the video and try this on your own. So here we have a trinomial where a equals 1. So we're trying to find two numbers that add to give us 12 and multiply to give us negative 45. Since we have a negative product and a positive sum, when looking at our factor pairs, we know that the larger number will take on that positive sign and our smaller number will be negative. So we find that negative 3 and positive 15 add to give us 12 and multiply to give us negative 45, giving us our factors x minus 3 times x plus 15. We could have also written our answer as x plus 15 times x minus 3. All right, pause the video and try this one on your own. Factor x squared plus 7x plus 10. So here a equals 1. So we're trying to find two numbers that add to give us 7 and multiply to give us 10. Since we have a positive product and a positive sum, we know our factor pairs will both be positive numbers. And we find that positive 2 and positive 5 works, giving us the factors x plus 2 times x plus 5.